Okay, my friends, this week we are going to do some watercolor experimenting, and don't worry what this really looks like because we are going to end up cutting this up and we're going to make some grass and some leaves to collage onto our final piece. So this is going to go in front of our animal on our final piece. So I've chosen some crayons. I've got my watercolors. I've already put a little bit of water on them. I use a little spray bottle just because it goes faster, but you can also take your cup with water and just drop a couple of drops on top. Remember, you always want to have that water bubble on top. That's why it's called watercolor, because we paint with that water bubble on top, not with the paint itself. We never want to be digging the paint out. Some other things that I have to experiment with are a paper towel. You can use Kleenex, cotton balls, Q-tips. I have a piece of saran wrap. This is like cling film. And you'll see that this leaves some cool textures. I also have a little bit of, this is from a bag of oranges, and this leaves a cool pattern when we leave it on the oranges or on our paper to paint. So I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques, well actually several different techniques today. You can play around with it and then we'll see what happens, and you'll see what you get out of this and see what you like and what you don't like, and we'll take the pieces we do like and we'll cut them out into smaller leaves so that we can glue them onto our final piece. Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about is wet on wet. So that is where we take some wet paint and notice that I'm not worrying about shapes or anything because I'm going to go back in on Wednesday and I'm going to add to this. Now I'm going to add, while it's still wet, some other colors on top. I'm going to add a little brown, and while it's still wet, it's going to end up blending together. I'm going to add a little yellow too. And then if I really want to mix them up, I can just take my wet brush and I can add a little more water to make that happen again. A little more if I want. Or I can put more green on top. You can layer these a little. I'm getting a nice green down here with this green and brown. Okay, now the next thing I want to show you is a little bit of paper towel. Here, like I said, you can use Q-tips, Kleenex, cotton ball, and I like to sort of scrunch it up a little bit, and if you blot it, you'll see we get really nice texture. Different shapes that you choose determine what will get pulled up. Okay, so now it almost looks a little bushy. Still getting a little bit of a glare here. There. So you can kind of see how we're getting that nice tone where it's a little lighter, a little darker. I'm going to go in again with a little more green, a little less water, and I'm going to put a little more on there. Make it a little darker. Looks like I'm going to have to go get another watercolor. If you run out of watercolors, let me know, because I may have some. Okay, so we've got that. Now, I'm going to show you what happens when I put this down on it. And it's really wet. So I'm just going to lay this on it and really just stick it down. And I'm going to let that stay until it dries. And we'll see what happens. Okay, the other technique that we know that we can use is our crayon technique. So I may want to add just some marks. What I'm trying to do is just get some texture onto my paper so that when I pull my leaves off of this sheet, It is ready to go. Let's see if I can get some green. Since my watercolors are dying. And I can and I get this cool grassy like texture on them. I love that. Need more water. And I'm just trying to fill up this whole page really so that I have lots to work with. I have lots of choices when I go in to cut out my leaves. I don't really recommend making your paints this dirty, but mine are almost gone, so I know that I'm going to just finish them up today. Okay, so now I have this going for me with my wax resist. Got that cool wax showing through. So I've got that texture going, I've got this texture going, I've got some blotting happening here from my paper towel. And what I really like is that my paper towel leaves this grid-like texture on it. They don't all do that, so that's kind of cool, I think. So I'm going to set this one aside to dry, and I'm going to grab another paper. I'm going to show you another technique. I'm going to just throw some, I'm going to spray my paper, try to get it wet quick. Those of you in 4th and 5th grade may remember this from our ice. This is another cool technique just to get some great texture. Let's get some yellow in here. I know I always say don't dig around, but I'm at the very, very bottom of my palette here, trying to get enough green. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to add a little bit more water with my spray bottle. Spread it out even a little bit more. See how that water really helps it flow. Okay, I want a little more yellow. And I want a little brown in here too, because it's looking a little bit bright. Okay, I'm just going to put a few little stripes of brown. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do that Saran wrap. And again, this just needs to sit. So what I do is I put that down and I kind of crunch it up. I'm going to really crunch it up this time because I want it to be extra crinkly. So as you can see, like the smaller it is, the more detail you're going to get. And then we're just going to let this dry again. And once it dries, the Saran wrap or the cling film will fall right off your paper. So don't worry about that. Okay, and then if I wanted to, I could go around and blot the outside, give it some texture. And this is going to give me plenty. These two sheets here, I've got this sheet here with the Saran wrap and this with these two textures. So I'm just going to let these two dry and they will be ready to go on Wednesday when we cut them up and make some leaves and some grass for our collage to finish up our piece. So I will see you on Wednesday. I can't wait to see your final pieces because your drawings, I saw some of the progress drawings on Friday and they looked really cool, and now this week we are going to add all of the details that are just going to make all the extra impact. So have fun today with the watercolor. Just experiment, have fun, play around with some things, you know, get a cotton ball, get a napkin or a paper towel, get some Saran wrap, or, you know, if you have any bags of oranges or potatoes laying around, ask your mom if you can take the bag and see if you can use that a little bit. And again, once this dries, it'll fall off too. All right, like I said, see you Wednesday. Okay, bye.